What happens when one of Hollywood's most respected actors sits down for what should be a normal daytime interview and suddenly finds himself facing questions that cross every boundary? What you're about to hear became one of the most heated and unforgettable moments in daytime television. Denzel Washington, a man known for his calm presence and composed nature, reached a point of frustration that nobody expected. This wasn't just another interview gone off the rails. This was an example of standing firm when someone pushes too far. Before we dive into what really happened, make sure you hit that subscribe button and drop a comment telling us what you think about celebrities speaking honestly on live TV. The View studio audience settled into their seats as the show came back from commercial. Whoopi Goldberg smiled into the camera and introduced their guest for the segment. Denzel Washington walked out to loud cheers and applause, waving to everyone with that warm, humble confidence he's admired for. He took his seat at the table surrounded by the panel of hosts, and at first, the conversation was light and friendly. Joy Behar leaned in with a smile that didn't quite match the tone in her eyes. So, Denzel, you've been in this industry for many years, you've portrayed incredible characters, you've won major awards, but I want to ask something I think our viewers wonder about. Why do you think there still aren't more diverse voices behind the camera telling these stories? Denzel paused, thinking carefully before he spoke. Well, Joy, he said softly, I think things are changing. I've watched a lot of progress happen. But I also think that question assumes something that isn't entirely accurate. There are diverse voices. They're out there. They're working, creating, telling stories. Maybe the mainstream doesn't always highlight them, but they exist, and they're working hard. Joy's smile tightened. But don't you feel, with your influence, you have a responsibility to call out the industry when it falls short? You're in a rare position. Denzel shifted slightly, still calm but firmer. I believe my responsibility is to do good work, to tell meaningful stories, to respect the art. But I'm not sure it's my job to act as the spokesperson for everything people think the industry should or shouldn't be doing. The audience murmured, sensing the tone changing. Sonny Hostin tried to smooth things over, but Joy wasn't finished. That's interesting, Joy said. Because you've been pretty quiet on certain social topics lately. Some people think staying silent is a type of privilege. Denzel's jaw moved just slightly. Is that a question, Joy, a broken bar or a statement? I'm just saying, she continued, leaning forward. When someone has your level of influence, silence can look like complicity. The energy in the room shifted sharply. You could almost feel the temperature drop. Denzel leaned back, eyes fixed on Joy. Let me explain something about silence, he said, voice calm but edged with meaning. Silence isn't always complicity. Sometimes silence is wisdom. Sometimes silence means choosing not to speak about something you don't fully understand. And sometimes, Joy, silence is simply refusing to perform for people who think they can demand your opinion whenever they feel like it. Joy's expression hardened. I'm not demanding a performance. I'm asking you to use your platform responsibly. Denzel's tone stayed steady, but there was a clear strength underneath. My platform. Let's talk about that. I've spent 40 years building credibility through my work, not through commentary. I've told stories about real, complicated people. I've approached every role with care and seriousness. So when you sit here and suggest my silence on your preferred topics means I don't care, you're making assumptions about what matters to me based on whether I answer your questions on live TV. The audience had gone totally silent. Whoopi tried to jump in, but Denzel continued, his voice just a touch louder. You want to know what I think my responsibility is? He said. My responsibility is to the craft, to the truth in the work, to the people who trust me with their stories. My responsibility is not to check off boxes on your list of what a black man in Hollywood should be saying publicly. Joy's cheeks flushed. I never said anything about your race, Denzel. You didn't have to, he replied quietly. But we both understand what's happening here. You're asking why I'm not angrier, why I'm not louder, why I'm not performing activism the way you think it should look. And the answer is simple. That's not who I am. So you don't think you have any obligation to speak up? Joy fired back. Denzel leaned in, his presence commanding the entire room. I speak up every time I take on a role, every time I mentor a young actor, every time I create or produce a project that tells a story that matters. What I won't do is pretend that giving quick takes on TV is the same as doing real work. The hosts exchanged uneasy looks. The audience stayed frozen. Many realized they were watching something far more real than daytime TV usually is. Joy pushed on. I think you're being defensive. Denzel let out a short, humorless laugh. Defensive? No, Joy. I'm being honest. There's a difference. Joy crossed her arms. Our viewers deserve to know where you stand on important issues. Your viewers deserve respect, Denzel replied. So let me ask you something. When did an interview become an interrogation? When did coming here to talk about my art become a demand that I explain my entire belief system in 10 minutes? That's not what I'm doing, Joy insisted. Isn't it? Denzel replied. His voice was quieter now, but somehow sharper. You're suggesting that because I won't give you the sound bite you want, I'm failing at something. Failing at what exactly? Being the type of celebrity you want me to be? Ana Navarro tried to jump in, but Denzel lifted a hand politely. No, I know exactly what Joy is trying to do, he said. This is about control. This is about putting someone in a box and demanding they stay there. But I don't fit in boxes. I never have. Joy's face went redder. I'm not putting you in a box. I'm talking about responsibility. You keep using that word, Denzel said, almost tiredly. Do you know what I find irresponsible? Sitting behind a desk and judging people without knowing anything about their lives, struggles, or reasons. Do you know what I do when cameras are off? Where I spend my time? What causes I support quietly because I want to make real change and not headlines? Applause broke out. Denzel raised a hand. No, don't clap. I'm not saying that for applause. I'm saying it because I'm tired of this idea that if it's not public, it must not be happening. Joy leaned forward, desperate to regain her footing. With all due respect, you're a public figure. Public figures get public scrutiny. Denzel let out a bitter laugh. Scrutiny is fine. But there's a difference between scrutiny and judgment. There's a difference between questions and accusations pretending to be questions. So we can't ask you tough questions, Joy challenged. You can ask anything you want, Denzel said. And I can tell you when your question is based on a false assumption. That's called a conversation, Joy. Not an ambush. Whoopi attempted again to redirect, but Denzel wasn't done. You want to know the real problem? He asked. Somewhere along the way, we decided celebrities owe the public every part of themselves. Every thought, every opinion, every private belief. And if we don't share it, we're hiding something. Or we're privileged. Or we're complicit. It's exhausting. And frankly, it's unfair. So you're above criticism now? Joy snapped. That's not what I said. And you know it. Denzel's eyes sharpened. Criticism is fine. But teaser, this little trap you set to is not criticism. It's a game. A game where no matter how I answer, you win. If I speak, you twist it. If I don't speak, you accuse me. I'm done with that. By now, you could hear a pin drop. Joy's voice was icy. You're acting extremely defensive for someone who claims he has nothing to hide. And there it is, Denzel said, loud enough for the room to feel it. The suggestion that if I'm not playing along, I must be hiding something. Let me make this clear. I'm not hiding anything. I'm simply refusing to shrink myself into a soundbite for your show. He leaned forward, intense and unwavering. You assume that because I'm not loud about every issue, I don't care. You assume that because I don't tweet about problems, I don't think about them. You assume that because I don't follow your version of activism, I'm doing nothing. Those aren't questions. Those are judgments. Sarah tried to calm things down, but Denzel shook his head. No, Sarah, we're not confused. This is exactly what's happening. Joy wants me to be someone I'm not, and she's upset that I won't pretend. That is not true, Joy insisted, her voice shaking now. I think about my responsibility every day, Denzel said, Voice low but incredibly powerful. Every day when I choose a project. Every day when I talk to young actors. Every day when I use my resources to help someone without announcing it on social media. But what I don't do is turn my life into a performance for public approval. His final sentence hung in the air, heavy and unmistakable, leaving the studio in stunned silence.